We made this.
Hello and welcome to Geek Polymath, a podcast on the We Made This podcast network. My name's Mark Adams and I am your host for this monthly show, and I am, without a shadow of a doubt, a geek. I would go as far as saying proudly so. And I was a geek before being a geek was cool. That being said, most people who identify as a geek have an area of geekery that they are obsessive about. A certain film series, certain TV series, comic books, video game series, anything like that. But I don't really. And there's lots of areas of geekery that I'm really fond of, but I don't obsess with anything in particular. I call myself a geek polymath. And that is the concept that I have based this show on. In every episode, I'll have an in-depth conversation with someone who is an obsessive fan of something that I really quite like. We'll take a look at its fandom, discuss its appeal, and then I'll ask them to expand on my knowledge with some hot facts. There are some standard questions, but there'll also be an element of free-form chat inspired by everything and anything that has been said as we go. And unusually, I will actually answer the questions myself so that we can compare the experience of a casual fan to a dedicated fan. And I'm actually going to let you know what those questions are. Obviously, I'm going to replace the name of the thing we're talking about with the word geekery. What was your first encounter with geekery? What is it about geekery that particularly appeals to you over everything else? What is your favourite character, /issue, /film, etc. in this particular geekery franchise? What is the most obscure fact that you know about this geekery? Where would you say would be a good place to start for a beginner coming to this geekery? And is there anything you're unhappy with regarding this geekery? For example, problematic old stuff, a toxic fandom, or the writer is a fucking TERF. And then, in the next section of the show, after we've had our deep chat about something that we both love, to different degrees, but we both love, we're going to have a little bit of a quiz time. I will plan 3 insanely hard quiz questions on the geekery for my guest, and they will plan 3 reasonable level, medium level difficulties questions that they will ask me. We'll see who gets the most, and we'll have a little bit chat about whether or not we pitched the levels fairly. So that is what is coming up on Geek Polymath. This podcast was actually piloted over a year ago during lockdown on a lockdown podcast I did called Don't Say the C Word. And I had Rob Holden from the Marvel vs. Marvel podcast on to come and talk to me about Marvel Comics. And so I'm going to repost that in a week's time, so you'll be able to hear the pilot. And I loved doing it so much that a year later I was like, do you know what? I'm going to pull the trigger on this and I'm going to have a go. And every month I'm going to have a chat with someone I like who loves something that I really quite like. And we're going to have a lovely time, and I really hope that you enjoy these conversations because I've enjoyed doing them, I've enjoyed planning this podcast, and I think it's something that's going to be a lot of fun. So until next time, you just enjoy what the fuck you like. Geek Polymath is a podcast brought to you by the We Made This podcast network. You can follow the show on Twitter @Geek Polymath. The show's creator and host is me, Mark Adams. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram @MarkAdamsHC. The show's logo was created by Carl Bryan, and the theme tune was composed and performed by Colin Jackson Brown. Thank you for listening to Geek Polymath.
everyone, this is Tony, Network Chief of We Made This. As you know, our podcast network brings together a brilliant assortment of talent who talk about all kinds of pop culture content, such as the episode you just listened to. We're not going anywhere, but we'd love to keep the lights on for even longer if you're able to support our network on Patreon. For just £2 a month, you get your name in lights and the satisfaction of knowing you're helping us produce more great audio. And for £3 a month, you'll get your name in lights, but you'll also get access to an exclusive bi-monthly podcast from the We Made This talent pool on podcasting, pop culture, and, well, you tell us. We'll take your suggestions. For less than the price of a coffee per month, you can help keep We Made This going. Just head to patreon.com/We Made This. That's patreon.com/We Made This. And get the ball rolling. Elsewhere on We Made This. Academy Watch.
I saw West Side Story actually the other day, and I didn't really connect with it. So, some I like and some I won't, but generally I like the idea of a musical. Disney films, the animated Disney films, tend to enjoy them.
Of course. Are you a La La Land person? Because I was definitely a La La pet.
I hate
La
La Land. I just could not stand it.
Wow. We can't be friends anymore. I'm just gonna hang on. How do I turn this thing off?
Yeah. I've lost a lot of friends over this opinion, but I hate it.
Garfield is the best Spider-Man, and La La Land is shit. Like what?
I just like to be controversial.
We dig music.
But yeah, just missed out on my list this year. The Garbage Record was great, so I'd Godhead off that.
Yeah, I was surprised that didn't end up on the main.
It was close.
I was surprised to not see it.
Wet Leg, who have released 2 songs so far. There's another one apparently coming out
Terrible
later this
band
week.
name.
Yeah, I can't get behind it. That's what our old history teacher was called, Mr. Wetleg. It's actually Westlake, but apparently he pissed himself once.
Amazing. Yeah, it's a fucking terrible band name, but they're great.
It's like if Wet Leg toured with pissed jeans. Can you imagine?
Right in the childhood.
When I was younger, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man looks way older than I was as a kid.
He looks older than you do now.
Way older than I am, yeah. And that was a constant thing in the cartoons as well. Like in the cartoons, like the 90s one, he looked older. And that was the cartoon I watched when I was younger, was the 90s one. And we would have done that for this show. But as soon as Disney Plus came out, I binge watched it all, and then I encouraged you to watch it.
Yeah, and I've watched it as well.
And then we started the podcast.
And we were like, shit, we should have saved
that
it.
That should have been it. And then there was another one with Neil Patrick Harrison, which I probably did.
What, as in Doogie Howser MD?
Yeah, and, Barney
Ooh,
Stinson.
I'm going to put that on my list.
A Doogie Howser.
Doogie Howser MD.
Check out all of these shows and more on the We Made This podcast network.